Thank you. And Ms. Starks, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Tamika Starks. My DOC number is 611-271.
Okay, and counsel, would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, Becky Kondkar with the Tulane Law School Women's Prison Project here on behalf of Ms. Starks.
Okay, and you'll make your presentation at the end.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And so Ms. Starks, let me just acknowledge the folks who are here with us in Baton Rouge. We have Labrina Monaco, Gabrielle Peary, Nyla Starks, Joseph DeRogers. They are with you. Is he there with you, Joseph?
Yes, ma'am.
Also there is Audrey.
Yes, ma'am.
By Zoom, we have Brenda Seals, Tonette Smith, Chi Jackson, here, Catherine Matz, Reverend Douglas Taylor, LaShonda Demery, Roland Stark, Karen Copeland, Christy Sheremy, Demetrici, I don't know if I said that correct, Moore, Ashley Posey. And we also have, as I understand it, a lot of folks who are in favor of watching on YouTube. In opposition, we have a representative from the District Attorney's Office in Jefferson Parish. He'll be speaking. And then here with us, we have Marion Starks, who will be speaking at the appropriate time. All right, first, let me just read some identifying information into the record. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Freeman. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll take the lead on the interview. We'll hear from the warden, the folks who indicated they'd like to speak. And before we turn it over to Ms. Kondkar, we'll ask you for a statement if you'd like to make one, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Starks, you're here today seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced May 2013 in Jefferson Parish to a term of 20 years without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence. In February of 2018, that sentence was amended to remove that restriction. So your good time release date is May 24th, 2026. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you answer Mr. Freeman, please?
Okay, Ms. Starks, how long have you served on this crime?
13 years, sir.
15 on a 20-year sentence. Okay, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Okay, and how much education have you had?
I've completed my bachelor's degree in Christian ministries.
Good. Okay, Ms. Starks, you know, I've read your file and it's a very, very confusing case. It goes back and forth. Why don't you tell me what happened and what led up to this happening?
Yes, sir. I left my husband and I moved to Atlanta because my husband was abusive. So I moved with my 4 children to Atlanta, just trying to start over, new life. And during the move, I was trying to make sure my husband still had visitation with my children. And each time I would go to the house to pick my kids up from the visitation, the police would be called out. He didn't want me to bring the kids back to Atlanta. And like the Friday before I shot my husband, he and I talked and everything just seemed fine. It seemed like we were, although we had like an altercation that Sunday on the 1st of August, by that Friday, everything seemed fine. He said that he had called the police because he was angry that I allowed my boyfriend to bring me to the house. We talked about the kids, talked about helping me get uniforms for the kids. And since the conversation was going pretty well, I told him that I'd gone to the self-help desk in Georgia where I was living and got paperwork for divorce, to file for divorce. And he agreed. He didn't put up any resistance. So I told him that, I was going to be coming into town August 8th to pick up my kids. So I got to my brother's house that afternoon, and I received a text from my husband asking me, when are you coming home? So I left my brother's house and I drove to Avondale, and it's like immediately when I walked in the door, my husband choked me. And I'm sorry. He said that my pussy belonged to him. And I told him that I didn't want to, I wasn't there for that. That's not what we talked about. We talked about him giving me my, for the children and the divorce. And he let me go. He turned my neck loose. And then he went to the back of the house through the kitchen area. And I went to the back of the house through like the living room, the foyer. And when he came through the back door of the master bedroom, I shot him. I shot him as he was going into the bathroom. I shot my husband as he was going into the bathroom.
Okay. See, that's where I'm going. Story doesn't add up. Story doesn't add up at all. You never thought about bringing somebody with you since y'all had all these arguments?
No, sir.
Okay. How many times you pulled the gun on him?
That was like the only time I pulled the gun on him.
You sure about that?
Yes, sir. I had brought a gun with me before. Like a year before, I brought a gun to the house.
Why didn't you leave? I mean, when he let you go, why didn't you leave?
I just panicked. I just panicked.
Okay. And you said, where did you get the gun from?
The gun was like in the upper part of the closet.
You didn't go to the car and get the gun?
No, sir.
You didn't shoot him in the doorstep to the home?
No, sir.
Why was his body found there?
He ran. He ran out of the house. I ran.
And you shot him in the back, correct?
Yes, sir.
He filed a restraining on you from your argument the week before?
Yes, sir. I didn't know that until like later, once I was arrested, because I had no idea. We had talked, like after the incident on the first, we had talked. And everything seemed, he just told me he was upset. He was upset that I brought my boyfriend to the house. He felt like that was disrespectful.
You didn't?
Sir,
You thought it was that since y'all had all these arguments, that you bringing a boyfriend to the house wouldn't upset him?
well, like my husband had moved on. I had moved on.
Didn't you lie to the police about your whereabouts when they were looking for you?
Yes, sir, I did.
Why did you do that?
I was ashamed of what I had done. I was scared. I had
You went
called
to trial on this and they had a mistrial?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
The first trial, was there a mistrial?
Yes, sir.
And then you took a 20-year plea, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about what you've done in prison. Looks like you have a pretty good prison record. You've only had one write-up. And that was back in 16, I think, for 28. What's that about?
Oh, yes, sir. I just got into LCIW and I wasn't really familiar with the rules, but I reported for work. I was working in housekeeping at the time. I reported for work and I cleaned my area, and then I went back to my dorm and I laid on the bunk. And that's not what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to stay in my, even though I was classified to housekeeping, I was supposed to stay in my work area.
Okay. We do have plenty law enforcement opposition. We have one victim that is opposed, and some of your kids are in favor. Are you in touch with most of your kids?
Yes, sir.
Especially your son, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm in touch with all of them. Yes, sir.
Low risk, low need, you're in minimum custody. You've had 56 classes. Tell me what you learned in those classes, the ones that you've learned the most from. I mean, I'm sorry, you took a bunch of classes, don't they? What class have you learned the most from?
I've learned the most from my studies in seminary. I learned, what stands out to me the most is Imago Dei, and it means every human being is created in the image of God. And learning about that, it just made me realize what I did was just terrible. Like, I took somebody's life. I took my husband's life. I took my children's father's life.
Did you ever have a drug problem? I see where you took some drug classes.
No, sir, not drugs.
Okay, alcohol, anything like that?
Yes, sir. I started drinking like after I left my husband. I would use.
All right. You consider yourself alcoholic or not?
No, sir. It was just during the year after I left my husband, I started drinking to cope.
Okay. What kind of community service do you do around the prison?
I visit with the ladies that are housed in the infirmary. I do recreation with them. I participate in just about all the activities of Crime Victims Awareness Week, Black History Month programs. Whatever's happening on the compound, I'm pretty much there.
You also take pictures of things that go on the compound?
The unveiled, yes, sir, during visitation.
Okay, you enjoy that party? I can
Yes,
see you
sir.
kind of smile when you said that.
Yes, sir. I like to see the interaction with the families.
What would you say to his family if you had a chance to talk to him?
Yes, sir. I prepared a statement. Can I read it at this time?
Let's read that at the end, Mr. Renata. We want to read it now.
We'll read it.
Okay, we'll read it when you're making your statement to the whole board, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and why should I let you out? Tell me, why should I think about commuting your sentence?
I just want to say that I know that I'm not entitled to this, and I made a whole lot of just bad choices. And I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused my husband's family, my children, my family. And I've taken like a lot of time, the time that I've been incarcerated, the classes that I took were really to get to the bottom of what was my problem. Where did I go wrong? And through those classes, I've gained like skills that have prepared me to be a working citizen, skills that have prepared me to be a positive influence on my community, and skills that have given me just the tools I need to speak to anyone who may find themselves in a situation that I was in, and give them some guidance and hope, and to positively influence them.
All right, I have no further questions. Mr. Renaud?
Ms. Starks, what is your hope for today? What outcome are you seeking? I mean, you already have a mandatory release date in 2026. What do you hope happens today?
I hope that the board members, that you all will have mercy on me. My children have not had a parent present for any milestone, and I know that's my fault. I know that I'm the cause of that. Graduations, birthdays, none of that. They didn't have anybody present for them. And I'm hoping that the board will grant a favorable decision so that my son could have, at least for his graduation, he could have a parent present.
All right, well, let's hear from the folks who want to speak today. Could we hear from Gabrielle Perry? I'm sorry if I mispronounced it.
That's quite all right. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. I think my name is Gabrielle Perry. I'm a 30-year-old epidemiologist, a lifelong Louisiana resident, and founder and executive director of the Thurman Perry Foundation. We are a Louisiana-based nonprofit operating nationally with a mission of aiding women and girls impacted by incarceration. We've aided over 3,000 women nationwide. I have known Ms. Tamika Starks for a few years now, as she was the Thurman Perry Foundation's first currently incarcerated winner of the Perry Second Chances Scholarship. In our initial evaluation of Ms. Starks' application, we found her to be the embodiment, intellect, warmth, humility, and growth. We feel it's her self-actualization that led her to the full realization of the consequences of her actions, which found her housed at the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women. We also feel is that same self-actualization coupled with her children, active empathy for the women housed alongside her, serving as motivators, that will equip her for successful reentry into society. It's further proven by her becoming the first currently incarcerated graduate our program has ever seen, as she has recently completed her degree with New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. The Thurman Perry Foundation is so impressed with her application and her commitment to ensuring that the women housed alongside her were able to apply as well. Women who have personally told me that they are inspired by Ms. Stark's effervescent commitment to self-improvement. Beyond my own organization, so many people in the community are invested in Ms. Stark's well-being and success, and they understand that she is not the summation of one act, despite the gravity that it holds. Ms. Starks was able to tell her story of perseverance and redemption on a national stage alongside myself, the Morning Promise, for CBS Morning News with Gail King. Since its airing, she currently serves as the sole woman on our state's advisory board that are currently incarcerated, which is designed to meet together and provide insights to Secretary James LeBlanc regarding the needs of those in our state's care. In the subsequent 2 years since becoming a Second Chance Scholar, I've had the immense pleasure to get to know Ms. Starks and her family, especially since her daughter is a part of the same scholarship cohort and actively uses her mother's story and experience to support other women in the community. I myself am the only incarcerated woman, and I was given a second chance. And it is my belief that Ms. Starks is capable of far more than myself, as I had no community or familial support, while she is so rich in both. Ms. Starks' selfless nature and consistent efforts to show herself accountable to others in community with her is the embodiment of resilience and the goal of rehabilitation through our justice system. In summation, I do pledge the full weight of the Thurman Perry Foundation, our resources, and our network in support of Ms. Tamika Starks and her early release. I know that I am united with many, including those entrusted with her care, in the hopes that she can be allowed to begin rebuilding her life with her children and her family. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Nyla Starks. Yeah, okay.
It is such a pleasure to be here today. My name is LaShawn Demery, and I am a former inmate at LCIW. I met Tamika in 2013. I believe I had been in the facility for 2 years when I met her. And I was in a very dark place when I met Tamika. Dealing with the confusion of losing my children, substance abuse for 22 years. And not only me, she spoke to us on several occasions during our church services. And she gave all of us hope. I believe today it was just her inspiring words that kept me close, that encouraged me to change. She encouraged me to believe in myself, to share my story rather than suppressing my grief. And it was just a number of things, through her words that encouraged me along the way. Today, I am a substance abuse counselor. I believe our contribution to my life set me in the right direction. I know that she is a strong woman of God, a woman of wisdom, a woman of courage. She's one of the strongest women that I know. Even now today, she has kept up with me to encourage me, to inspire me. And it is my prayer that she has a favorable decision today. I just see so much in her. And just the hope that just through all of this, she would always say, trust the process. And I appreciate you for having me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Nyla Starks.
Good morning. My name is Nyla Starks, and I'm the eldest daughter to Tamika Starks. I just wanted to start off by thanking everybody for being here. Thank you for the people who are supported, especially Pastor Taylor, who's known Mama for 30 years, and I am going to refer to her as Mama, so sorry about that. But I can't really explain how difficult it's been, these past 13 years about having my mom, having our mom, in our lives, and having her home would mean the absolute world to us. Over the years, our family has suffered different things such as trauma, neglect, abuse, identity crisis, low self-esteem. And we need our mother, as all children do, no matter how old, no matter how young. We are all in transitional periods of our lives. And this is the moment, these are the times that we need our mother the most. For my little brother, Roland, who is here, he is 15 years old. It will mean having our mother there to support him as he's going through high school, as he's going through the transitions of becoming a young man. He has never had our mother there, physically there, to nurture him or help him grow through the many trials. Sometimes he wakes up crying, wishing our mother was there to rock and hold him back to sleep. And sometimes he has panic attacks from the stress and trauma of not being there. For my younger sister, Naya, who is 19 years and is a member of the National Guard, it will mean having our mother home to help guide her transition to living on her own in her very first apartment. A mother could also be there to help physically support her through her depression and her lonely states of feeling unworthy. For my 4-year-old son, Noah, this would look like having his grandmother, present grandmother, that can nurture him, babysit him, and watch him grow into a young man. For clear purposes, he's not. This is his first year of rehab, and there's nothing like having a grandmother see her grandson to educational success. He has visited her every month since he has been born, and there's not been one visit that he doesn't leave fine, asking if she can come with us. For my younger sister Nia, who is 21, this will mean having support during her first year of clinical trials. She recently started her first year of training for phlebotomy, and her first year will be challenging. It will be great to have our mother there to help her after many 12-hour shifts. And as far as me, I am a new teacher. I am a recent graduate of Dillard University, and not many daughters can say that they have the privilege of graduating just within days of their mother, so I wear that badge of honor. I just started teaching 6th grade, and it will be a miracle to have our mother to help me find the balance between work life, home life, and being a nonprofit founder. We started the Mama Bears Foundation with full support of Mama, but I'm humble enough to know that I need her home to continue the growth of the organization. Our mission is to serve young, pregnant, and incarcerated mothers by providing them with resources for housing, childcare, and baby items. Now, most people love the weekend because they get to party or go out. But in our family, we love the weekends because that's when we get to visit our grandmother and love her. We laugh together, we eat together, we pray together. Over the years, our mother and grandmother have grown a lot, and so have we. She's inspired me to tell our story, advocate for domestic violence victims, and support moms through our nonprofit organization. I'm here asking that she be followed so that she can continue being a success story and inspiring women and young girls that our past don't define who we are. We need her home as our mother and as our grandmother to heal and restore what we lost throughout the years. Please let our mother come home so that she can love us, care for us, protect us, and so that we can do the same for her. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear now from the opposition. Marion, would you like to speak?
My name is Marion, and I'm a little conflicted as far as opposition because as his sister, I've missed out on a lot of his children's life. Milestones that she mentioned was them graduating high school, them her now having a baby. As an aunt, I'm everybody's name. I would have loved to be some kind of support system as part of her, their dad. I would have loved to have been there in every aspect of their life, but we haven't seen them in years. They were taken away. The story that I heard today is news to me. I know we don't know what goes on behind those doors, but that was a new story for me. I don't want them to think I'm trying to take their moms away from them, and especially the grandson. A life was taken when she walked away. And as a voice for him, I'm opposed to an early release. I mean, I know people change and try to better themselves, but I'm opposed to that, but I don't want to alienate my nieces and nephews any further than they already are from me, because I would love to be their support system for them. for any milestone, for any talks. If they want to have cousins, my daughters, none looks exactly like my young daughter. I would have loved to be in that support system and still want to be in that support system, but I don't know how to address that without the elephant in the room. I just don't want them to think I'm opposed and trying to take their love away from me, because I'm not. I'm just opposed to, because a life is taken.
Yes, thank you for being here. We hear from the DA's office, please. Stand by, Mr. Murray.
Good morning, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA Jefferson Parish, and we're opposed to Ms. Stark's request today. There's victim opposition. She shot her husband in the back and has a history of weapons use. When she was arrested in Atlanta, there were lots of weapons and ammunition in the apartment, and there's were other times when she had pulled the weapon on her husband previously. As was brought out in the hearing, there's some concern as to with that history. Why did she appear then without any support there if there was in fact prior domestic abuse problems? That would have been a means to be able to protect herself to avoid that. For those reasons, we're opposed.
Sir. All right, Ms. Starks, before we turn it over to your attorney, you can read your statement now if you'd like.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. To my children. Over the years, I've tried to answer questions about Daddy and me. I understand how confusing and traumatizing even it was for you all to have such conversations. I recognize the adverse experiences you all have had were a direct result of my actions. I made a grave decision that robbed you all of growing up with your parents. I know saying I'm sorry for taking your father's life does not remove the pain, grief, and depression you all have battled with. However, I am godly sorrowful for taking your father's life. Sorrow is what I feel each holiday, birthday, and during each milestone you all reach, because I'm aware of the people you all need and want the most. Your parents are not present to support you. Your father isn't present to support you. I took that option away from you all, and I took that option away from your father because of the worst decision I could have made. Your father is not here to do what fathers do. And I'm sorry. I left you all to fend for yourselves. I'm sorry for the pain I've caused you. To Roland Starks Sr.'s family and friends. Roland Starks Sr. is not here to celebrate life with you all because of a terrible decision I made. While time has given me the opportunity to reflect on all the things I did wrong, I accept time has not filled the pain in your hearts where Roland belongs. I do not presume to understand the magnitude of the grief I have caused you all. However, I am sorry for the agony I caused. What I do understand is my accomplishments, my studies, and my efforts to ensure I never reoffend offers no solace for you all. I recognize the long-term effects you all feel because of my actions do not go away because I express remorse. I understand expressing remorse and confessing guilt does not undo what I did. Yet my greatest desire is to do what I did not have the courage or capacity to do many years ago. I want to tell you all I'm sorry for the horrible decision I made. I'm sorry for taking the life of your brother, your uncle, your cousin, and your friend, Roland Stark Sr.
Great, thank you, Ms. Conklin.
Thank you. I want to also just begin by first acknowledging that the pain and grief that the Starks family lives with every day we understand it will not go away. And I want to echo that Ms. Starks recognizes that there are no words, no actions or accomplishments that can be measured against her loss. Ms. Starks has expressed shame for her actions and deep remorse for having caused so much pain to so many people and for having killed the only man she ever loved. What has happened to this family has been a tragedy on every level. Roland Starks did not deserve to die. Ms. Starks did not deserve the abuse she endured as his wife, and their children did not deserve the difficult life that was left behind for them when their father was killed and their mother went to prison. Ms. Starks was still a teenager when she met Roland Starks, but by that point, she had already experienced a lifetime of abuse, enough it might have crushed an ordinary person. She had no compass for healthy relationships and no tools for coping with the trauma she had experienced. But since arriving at LCIW, Ms. Starks has pursued every possible opportunity to learn and understand the causes and consequences of her actions, to accept responsibility for her decisions, and to understand why she made those decisions. In one of her published articles, she stated, "Once you decide to rise up from the ashes, you can find opportunities for growth all around you." Ms. Starks has found opportunities for growth all around her. During her time in prison, she's accomplished more than many accomplished over decades. She has earned her bachelor's degree. She has obtained community college certifications. She has become a published author, is a peer minister, is a peer mentor, facilitates trauma healing groups, leads weekly worship services, and serves on Secretary LeBlanc's Inmate Advisory Council and works at the Capitol. She has learned about domestic violence and childhood abuse and understands how it impacted her decisions, and she has worked every day to grow into the person the board heard from today and has spent years teaching, inspiring, and supporting other women here at LCIW. She also did this while being the best mother she could be from prison. According to her children, she has helped them learn coping skills, inspired their educational pursuits, and taught essential life lessons to become independent, thriving adults. I'd like to just very briefly address some of the issues that were raised in the hearing today. I understand why there are a lot of questions about the events leading up to this. In this case, however, there is simply no more reasonable explanation for why Ms. Starks shot her husband than the explanation she gave. She was afraid of him. She had tried to end the relationship. She had moved 3 states away, and she had asked him for a divorce. When she went to the house that night, she had a fear response to him grabbing her neck. It meant something to her, very specific, because of all the times he had previously strangled her. She knew what he was capable of, and she panicked. His history of having strangled her repeatedly in the past, as a result of that history, she did sometimes carry a gun for her own protection. She was in a catch-22. She brings someone along with her for protection, it will escalate the situation. If she brings a gun with her, she'll be accused of carrying a gun. I think sometimes we underestimate how challenging and difficult it is for mothers trying to navigate custody and visitation issues with dangerous, abusive former partners. And the types of confusing scenarios you see in this case are very common under these circumstances. As a law enforcement trainer, I can tell you that predominant aggressor is a very complicated issue to train on that requires a lot of skill and training, because these cases and these situations do look very complicated and confusing often when police arrive on the scene, and because abusive partners can be so effective at manipulating the situation. I think Ms. Stark's own words provide a window into the shame and devastation she feels about having killed her husband. She spent every day of her incarceration painfully aware of the intergenerational trauma she has caused to families. There is no amount of time that is long enough to make up for someone losing their life, but it has been long enough for Ms. Starks to gain insight into her actions and to prepare herself for re-entry. She has no prior criminal record, a nearly perfect disciplinary record, and a thoughtful plan for re-entry with community and family support. And all 4 of Roland Stark's and Tamika Stark's children are here today in full support of Ms. Stark's. She has demonstrated that she is ready and that the energy she has poured into serving other women at LCIW can now be better used to support her children on the outside should she be allowed to return home. Ms. Starks respectfully requests that her sentence be commuted to time served, and I want to thank the members of this board for so thoughtfully considering her case.
Thank you. Quinn Thomas, is there anything you'd like to add?
Sure. Probably repeating just everything kind of some of the other individuals have already gone over, but she is minimum custody, a level 1. So obviously no disciplinary issues or concerns that we have at the institution with her. She does mentor a lot of the ladies here, just generally in her housing unit or through the seminary program. She is low risk and low need. And, you know, if she is granted the commutation, she is already working towards having a solid reentry plan with the community resources at Diamond House, and then moving on along to her family support that she has that are all present today. So,
Thank you. Mr. Freeman, you prepared to vote?
Yes, ma'am. Stark, this is a difficult case, just like all our cases are difficult. I'm glad to the fact that you're admitting your guilt. You know, at first you denied killing him, and you also use your brother as an alibi. So you've come a long way. You've done well in prison. You've given back to the community while you've been there. But you took a life, and you've only served 13 years. And it was a plea bargain for 20, so it could have been life in prison. So my vote to today, just because of the fact that I do not think you have served enough time, is to deny, because you will be getting out in 2026 regardless.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yeah, this is really hard because there are some lovely children in this room. They really are. And I'm so sorry that the paternal side of their family is separated from them. I think granting her today would have gone a long way in healing both sides. It would have given them the opportunity to connect with one another and experience the power of grace. but it takes 4 votes to grant. And unfortunately, you've already received 1 to deny. But I think you've done an outstanding job. And my vote would be to grant a commutation to time served.
Mr. Mirabella.
This is a very difficult decision, and my vote obviously doesn't count at this point. I see both sides. I see certainly Mr. Freeman's position, see Judge Jackson's position. My inclination was to grant. I would have probably granted today, but that would be my.
All right, Ms. Clark, so you didn't get the 4 votes you needed today. So the outcome of today's proceeding is that your application for clemency has been denied. You do have a mandatory release date coming up, so we wish you well. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.